Good evening and welcome to Christian Fellowship. My name is Mike. Again, this is the second video now. I'm on 4/5/2020 and this is at 5:30 p.m. Had a Bible study this afternoon with a couple of the residents here. They called in by their phones and we put on speakerphone. I played the audio over the computer and worked out well. They could hear us. We could hear the Lord's word and we had an hour, a nice peaceful hour together. And this time that you're confined to a short, small amount of space, I mean, people that have homes probably have more. They have yards they can go out into, although probably the backyard would be the place they'd go because you might be concerned that somebody would report that they're out in the front and, they'd send people over to saying, oh, you got to stay in your house. And then people get upset at that. I don't understand it. I mean, I would be too. But each has to believe as they want to believe. I'm okay because the Lord's here with me. If I'm to get this or if something's to happen to me, then that's in His plan, and it's all for my good and the good of His plan, and that's all that counts. It's a good time to spend some time with your kids too, and your wife and family, or your friends, just your friends. If you have friends in the building. Unless they are paranoid to come out of their apartments, you could share. Maybe you could do it by phone too. We found that out today. And most people have these smartphones. You have speakerphone, or even if you don't have a smartphone, then most phones have speakerphone on, and you just call in and hook up that way. So we still don't know what happened. This is my day of rest, and I'll do videos to glorify the Lord, but as other business, I try to stay away from it. I rest, cook the food for my wife and I when I can, and just try to refresh myself with the Lord. He did that. He worked for 6 days, and then he took the seventh day, and he made that the Sabbath day, and we're supposed to be keeping that. The Sabbath day is from where you can be for anything. It's 24 hours. From midnight last night to midnight tonight is my Sabbath day. I cannot, according to the word of the Bible, you're not supposed to leave your dwelling place. So if you're in a building, in an apartment, then you can't leave the building. Now, do people? Yeah. I mean, if there's an emergency, the Lord understands that. If there's a fire in the building, what do you want to do? Sit in there and burn up? If you choose that, then you choose that. I think the Lord would accept that you had to leave. Again, that's up to each person's belief. This is where it gets very tricky as being a Christian following Jesus. There's gave us 10 rules, and those are His commandments. And Jesus actually, said, "Love thy neighbor as thyself." And he didn't change anything, but just added to. That's why, because when the Pharisees came, well, it wasn't the Pharisees, it was one of the people there came to him and said, maybe it was they said, "What's the greatest commandment?" And he said, of course, he repeated the first commandment of the Father, which was love God with all the heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then he said, and also with that is love your neighbor as yourself. And actually, I believe that when we're reading the Old Testament, I forget which book it was in exactly. We're up to 1 Samuel, almost through 1 Samuel. We're going to be going into 2 Samuel tomorrow, or maybe tonight. And there is some lines in there where it brings up that same point. It says, and love your neighbor as yourself. And it's interesting because today with my wife and these two neighbors, we played Matthew, first book of the New Testament, and there, Matthew wrote down the exact words Jesus said. They're in red usually in Bibles because those are the words that came straight from Jesus' mouth, according to the apostle. Matthew was one of the apostles. Mark was not. Um, John and Luke, of course, were. And those are the four Gospels. I always thought that Mark was one of the disciples, but come to find out, I was involved in some. Oh no! I said, oh really? So how did I wondered how I can understand why the other three, because they actually were there with Jesus. Mark obviously was not. Um, so I don't know. I'm not, can't figure that one out myself. I know they say it's synoptic and asynoptic, whatever kind of Bibles. Gospels they were. But important point is you listen to the words. And listening to them today, and I've read them before, they got more meaning. You really listen to them and you catch a word that your mind might have skipped through your mind and it never stuck. And today, a few new words stuck in there, increasing the meaning of the saying within that gospel. So this is why, you read the Bible, you can read it. It's actually better just to keep reading it. Don't stop. And then you would be actually doing what the Bible tells us to do, and that is to pray ceaselessly. That's what you do. You're supposed to be praying ceaselessly. And in today's world, you can also do that. You can be talking to the Lord all day, just walking along, not mouthing the words or whatnot, but just talking to Him in your mind, asking the Spirit to lead you. If you come to a situation, you say, please interpret for me, Spirit. And what should I do in this situation, Lord? And then listen to what the answer is. Sometimes it's nothing. So you have to make a choice. You make the best choice you can, and doing what you feel is right. And then you go on from there. It's a forward journey, day by day, 24 hours. You're sleeping 8 of them. So you have the other 18. No, 18? No, 14. Oh, what else you got? Getting old. Math is weak. 3 times 8 is 24. So you got 16 hours that you're awake. In my case, semi-awake. Because I take a lot of naps. And you got 8 hours of sleeping. But in the Bible, as you read, the Lord talks to you. If He'll come into your dream. He'll put a dream in your head. He did that with Mary and Joseph. He said, Joseph, awake, take the woman and the child to Egypt. Now that's a journey, and it costs money. Back then it cost money. Today, if he said go to Louisiana, well, I'd need money to get to Louisiana, but He would provide that for me in some form, shape, or fashion, and it wouldn't be me running around asking people for money. Somebody would walk up and say, "Here, you need this." I say, "Okay, that's my gas money down." And I've seen situations like that actually happen in my walk with Him. Yeah. And you don't know how many angels you're meeting along the way. They ministered to Him too. Okay. They appeared to Mary, and they appeared to Abraham, and they appeared to Aaron, and others too within the Bible. Not everybody, a minute percentage compared to the amount of people that we're talking about. I was kind of amazed as we're going through the Bible. They were building the 12 tribes of Israel, and they were counting that. And some of these counts got, like 80,000 on this tribe, 120,000 on this tribe. There's a lot of people. In Exodus, there was a lot of people. So you imagine taking that many people out of Egypt. And in Joseph's case, the Magi's had come and given them gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Those three things could be used, and they were used to take Mary and Joseph and the child to Egypt and to live down there until Herod died. Okay, because he wanted to kill Jesus. He didn't want another king on the scene. But everything, it was like when he came back from Egypt, the prophets had prophesied way back in the Old Testament that he would be called a Nazarene. And when Joseph and Mary and Jesus came back, Joseph didn't go back to Bethlehem because Herod's son was on the throne there. And he didn't know if Herod had passed on the information about, the king of the Jews. So he went to another town called Nazareth, which made true the prophecy from the past that he would be called a Nazarene. And you find countless things like this. When Jesus came on the scene in Matthew, he says, we're not here to change the law. We're here to fulfill the law or the prophets from the past. When he went to get baptized, John wasn't going to baptize him. He said, no, I need to be baptized by you. And Jesus suffered it so for now, so that we may fulfill the prophet Isaiah, I think, or one of the others. It's a fascinating, it's a big book, and there's tons of revelation there. And, but you get, the devil doesn't want you in that, so he can put many distractions, and this flesh world can have many distractions. So I'd say take some time out while you have it now. Talk to your wife and your kids and sit them down and read the Bible together. Kids need that. They need that foundation. Because without it, there's going to be in the future, not knowing when, but there'll be people that try to tell them, oh, that's all baloney, don't believe that, blah, blah. But if they have the foundation, you give it to them, then you're actually helping them. You may be gone, you may be passed on, but they'll have that foundation. They need that. And a lot of kids today don't have it. They just don't have it. Actually, it's written on their heart. The Lord did that. But there's no encouragement for that. I know in my house, when I grew up, there was none. My mother, we went to church. We had to go to church. I didn't like that, but we had to go. So we did. I mean, you didn't disobey your parents back then. Today, kids, I hear some of the kids talking to their parents, and I go, whoa, got a real problem there. Pray for them immediately. Lord, intervene in that situation. It's sad, it really is. I had a childhood where I spent a lot of time with my father. And my dad and I were fishing all the time. I mean, pretty much all the time. I liked to do what he liked to do, so we spent a lot of time doing it. And that's what I grew up there. You know, so we don't know what the future holds. We only know what today holds, and we only know what today's held from the time we woke up. And we don't know what's going to happen between. Right now it's 6:05. Between 6:05 and midnight, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know what's going to happen from midnight to. I usually wake up around 5 anymore, and that's because I think I take naps. Yeah. If you want to, I have an email list. I send these inspirations out, and if you want to be on the email list, it's jesusmusic99@gmail.com. So you can drop me a note, and I'll put you on my list, and then every day I send one out. And then I usually cover them here. Sometimes I mix them up, so let me see what I got. No, I got a different one. I can do a different one today. Okay, here's some inspiration for you. You think about the words. It's called the arm of love. There's our arm. You know, other times people, husband and wives, or boyfriends and girlfriends, they put their arm around each other. But this is the arm of love. And the arm of love says this: you are to help to save others. Okay. Now, this book I'm reading from now is called God Calling. And it's about two women in 1932 who sat together and with pen and paper, they were going to write down their thoughts. And they were seeking God. And they did this for a while. And then all of a sudden one night, or one day, one of the women got these words coming to her head. She started writing them down. And they weren't her words. They were coming into her head, but she wasn't thinking. Now, some people have called this book, this is not biblical, blah, blah, blah. Well, I had this experience, the same as they did. And when God speaks into your mind, you know it's not your words, it's His voice, and you know it. Now, unless that happened to somebody, they wouldn't know. So the people that say, oh, this thing, see, they're judging. And in Matthew, we read, you don't want to be judging people. Because the same judgment will be poured out on you. You don't want to do that. So, this is the Lord speaking to these two women. Okay? So as I read these, you'll understand. Just give you a little background there. No one knows to this day what their names are, where they were in England in 1932. That's all we know about them. They had a publishing company that published a book. They didn't want anything, won no recognition. They're called the Two Listeners. No names, no nothing. Very humble, just like Jesus said. Okay, so he went on to them and said, you are to help to save others. In getting the book published, and this book went out to them, publication of this is large. And it's helped a lot of people. A lot of people get a real sense of peace and love and joy from this book. I know I did. And I had the same experience, not as long as they had. They've sat with him for a year. Yeah. Okay. Never let one day pass when you have not reached out an arm of love to someone outside your home, not to your direct loved ones, but outside of your home. Never let one day go by. And how many days do we let go by and not do that? Quite a few. Okay? Sometimes we get too involved in stuff we want to be involved. But he said no. Now he gives you some ideas, or give them some ideas. He said you could write a note, a letter, a visit, help in some way. You got to do that every day. And he'll place those circumstances in your life, and you'll say, oh, there's an opportunity to write a note to this person, or visit with somebody, or give a helping hand. That's your choice. You got to make the choice. But he says this is how you have to follow him. And he said, be full of joy. You cannot be joyous, folks. Joy saves. Joy cures. Joy in every act of kindness or love, every trifling service. Joy. He wants us to be joyous. And sometimes, in our circumstances, it's very hard to be joyous. But in other wordings within this book and other books and the Bible, it says you have to say thank you in every circumstance. And there are some kind of message. In some circumstances, might be an accident, house burns down, or someone gets really sick. It's not joyous. But he still wants you to thank him. Because everything that comes into your life is there by him. And it's for your good. We don't understand how that can be sometimes, but it is for your good. Okay, so it goes on to say, each day do something to lift another soul out of the sea of sin or disease or doubt into which man has fallen. This is 1932. Okay. Right from the Garden of Eden, the fall of man, started sinning. Then we had Noah. Okay, the Bible says destroyed everything. Well, it's just questions that come up about that. No doubt there was a Noah and Noah's Ark and whatnot, and there was a flood. Okay, but anyway, there's a point of Cain's people, Cain's lineage from the garden. They stopped. You don't follow Cain; they follow Adam's lineage. Okay, heritage up through Noah. And then Noah and his sons and wives and their wives were the only ones left, supposedly. But nothing, since you're not following Cain, you don't know. Because if that's so, then all those people were determined righteous. And yet, one of Cain's sons went and miscegenated with another tribe of people. And that was, they were mixed tribes back then. That was not a thing you could do in their rules. And if you go back to Genesis in the beginning, everything was separate, each kind to its kind. People don't think of that. And yet today, everybody mixes. It's all mixed. Okay. He goes on to say, I still walk today by the lakeside and call my disciples to follow me and to become fishers of men. So he's still here today. He rose from the dead. He lived here. He got crucified, died. He buried him in the cave, and he rose from that cave and was alive. People could touch him. In the upper room, they ate dinner with him. He wasn't a spirit sitting there as a ghost. He was a flesh and blood man. Had the holes in the spikes that went through his hands and feet. And the spirit that went inside. Because he wasn't believing. And Thomas wouldn't believe until he So Jesus had to put his fingers through those holes. And then he had to believe. They called him Doubting Thomas. The helping hand is needed that raises the helpless to courage, to struggle, to faith, to health. Love, laugh, love, and laughter are the beckoners to faith and courage. It can be the worst of circumstances. Another message. The worst of circumstances. You can still carry a light heart, you know. Yeah, you might be sad for it, but then you can get joyful. Unless you want to let that circumstance bring you down to despair and despondency, and then, you know, then let it hurt you. That's what you choose. But he's saying these two women, no, you don't want to be that. You want to be joyful. Praise God. Thank you, Jesus. Yep. Oh, here goes my house. Hurricane just blew it away. God is good. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah. I saw a couple in Florida during one of the hurricanes. Their whole house blew away. The guy just sat there and said, thank you. God is good. I know. He knows God. He knows the greatness. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, trust him. Okay. Refuse to be downcast. Refuse to be checked in your upward climb. Because this is a climb, folks. You're going up to heaven. That's what everyone said. Oh, could be. It was right here. If you're with Jesus and you're in Jesus' presence, you're in heaven. You got one foot. Half of you is in heaven when you're in his presence. The other half is still in this sin-stained world. But you want to concentrate on the heaven. He'll take care of you. Love and laugh. I am with you. You'll always be with us. I bear your burdens. Cast your burdens upon me, and I will sustain thee. And then, in very lightheartedness, you turn and help another with the burden that is pressing too heavily upon him or her. See, he helps us with our burdens. We leave with him, and we go out and find others and take their burdens unto us and give it to him. That's how it works. How many burdens can you lighten this year? How many hearts can you cheer? How many souls can you help? In giving, you gain. Good measure, pressed down and running over. I, your Lord, have said it. And then, from Psalm 27, verse 14, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. And I got to make a correction on this because we'll do the edit. Yeah, I have your, and it needs to be you. So I just made that correction. And that's the inspiration for today. It's good stuff. To most foolishness, you don't have to do that. It's no big thing. To him, that's a big thing. It took time. See, he gives us time. All of us have a finite amount of time within this. I think you can live to 125 according to the Bible. I don't think anyone's lived past that. And that's it. It goes pretty fast. Kenny Chesney wrote a song. He didn't write it, but he sang the song. I can't remember the name. Let's see, what is it? I do it too. Didn't do my TV look like you look to me. I can't think of it now, but that's all right. No big thing. There's a song by Kenny Chesney along those same lines that you know, your life is, it goes fast. It's fleeting, really. And some don't get much time at all, and others get a lot of time. They say the good die young. Maybe good people don't have to live long, so they don't get to. I look at it as if, in a long life, you've been blessed. You get to help more people. Not you, but Him working through us. Because we should be channels only. We need to take the self, what we want, and place it off to the side. That's for later. Now is for Him. Good stuff. All right, I'm going to, what do I got? Ooh, I want 31 minutes. Ooh. I love to talk, especially when it's about Jesus. And I got so many stories I could tell. And I'm sure there's others out there. If you've got stories, email me. Share your testimony with me. I'll share mine with you. I'll put you on the email list. And we can have fellowship via email. I saw a video last night. It was on X22 Report. Dr. What's his name? Dr. Shiva, Shiva. I guess he's in Boston. He's running for Congress. What a guy. At 14, he developed the email programs that we see on our computers. Yeah. He's a doctor too, but he worked in technology. From India. And he worked in, I guess, in a company, and they were having people take, letters and run them up and down the stairs, and then he was sitting there saying, well, you've got computers. So he said, maybe I could write a program that will, you could send it electronically. So he did, and it worked. And that's where the email came through him. Who would have known, huh? Would have thought that Bill Gates did that. I don't think Bill, although he owned the company, I don't think Bill did too much work on it. He had other people doing the work. And usually the top dogs do that. There's somebody else to do it. Because they can think better. Okay. Have a great day. Love, joy, and peace. Maybe I'll get another one tonight. And I'll get this up there hopefully soon. And what else? I'll be back. God willing. Bye-bye.